Good morning and welcome to another edition of FWCS Tech Talk Live. I'm one of your co-hosts, Stephen Armstrong, and I'm a District Technology Coordinator.
And I'm Shannon Quigley, and I'm also a District Technology Coordinator. We apologize for the couple-minute delay here. We were running from an actual in-person PL to this live PL, so we're glad to see you all joining us this morning. A couple things, if you are getting started with your YouTube, we have on the side, there's an area for you to leave comments, but you can only leave comments if you have a YouTube channel. So if you do not have a YouTube channel set up first, real quick, I'll show you on my screen here. Steve's going to pop over to that. Up in the corner where it has this little person, you can click on your channel, and then your channel, it will ask you a question, do you want to create a channel? You don't actually have to put any content on there yet, but once you say yes, then you can head back over to our live, and then you can ask questions in the comments.
And Shannon, we already have about 5 or 6 people in there, so as the show goes on, we'll probably have a few more, and I'll give you the questions that we have on there.
Okay.
That way, if anybody has a pressing question that we haven't answered yet, we can kind of get to that. I'm super excited to do this again. This is our second time doing it. We did it last week, and we had about half 100 people there. So it was great to tune in.
Yeah.
We're continually looking at new ways to connect PL with teachers. We have so many teachers in so many buildings. So this is one of those things we're looking at. So let's jump right in today into the resources for curriculum writing that we introduced at Snyder High School a couple weeks ago.
Okay, that'd be great. So one of the things that we did, if you are a curriculum writer, which I'm assuming because you're here, on the curriculum writing page, we have a couple places where you can get information. On the left-hand side is the technology resource page within your curriculum writing course. And from here, you can really gather all of the resource and things that we have curated to help you through this process. A couple of notes that I want to make about these is I still get some requests for access. Everyone should have access to these documents through their FWCS Google Drive account. If you do not have access when you log in, a couple things might be happening. One, you might be signed in through a personal Gmail account, and we can't approve access for those accounts. So if I get an email with like srorty@gmail.com, I can't give you access, but if you have your FWCS account, you should be able to see them.
So we know what your personal email address is now, so if anybody needs that, that's out there. But what I always like to tell my teachers, Shane, is up in that top right corner, when you're logged in, you should see the FWCS logo right next to your initials for your name or your picture.
Yep, so if I go this, you can see this is my personal drive, it has my picture, but if I click on that picture, I can drop down to my FWCS Google account, and from there I can see now I'm in my FWCS drive. And if I head back over to that curriculum page, while I'm in that drive, you should have access to all of those documents.
And that's probably one of the most sought after emails we get from teachers is I don't see content. They're logged into their personal account, or if they're in the new tech program, they're logged into their new tech account and not the actual FWCS account.
Right. And we were able to make some of the programs work, like Cami and Pear Deck. We'll be able to use those new tech email addresses if you're a new tech person. But for this Google Drive, you will need to log in with your FWCS email to see these.
And while we're on that, we already have a question here about that. When we log into the FWCS account, I don't see the FWCS logo up in the top right. And I've seen that before. What I think is the personal accounts aren't logged out of. So you're not logged out of those. It still makes your personal account the default account. So Shannon, if you want to show them, click on that, and how do you get out of your personal account so it's just FWCS?
I feel you in this problem because that happens to me a lot. So really, when I see that, I'll create something and think, shoot, this was supposed to be in my FWCS account. All you have to do is go up into that right-hand corner where it shows you which Google account you're logged into. And if you click on that icon, it will drop you down to all of the Google accounts that you have. And you can just click over to the FWCS one, and then it does give me that logo up in the top, which is kind of now I've started to just check every time I log into my drive to make sure that logo is showing first.
All right, good question. And if that still doesn't work, just send us a message. I'm going to put up our contact information here on the bottom of the screen, so you know how to get a hold of us. And you can connect with any one of your district technology coordinators. So if that doesn't work, we'll work with the technology department to see why exactly your FWCS logo isn't popping up there. But I haven't seen a case yet where it doesn't come up once you're logged out of those personal accounts.
We have had a couple people who have had something a little strange that when they log into their FWCS, it does say something about a temp account. If yours is giving you a kind of a funky symbol and then say temp account, what we found to work is if you just either sign out and sign back in, or go through that process of setting up your account a second time with going through and putting in your FWCS email address and password and going through those steps a second time, should take away that temp account problem.
Awesome. All right. So what do we want to dig into first?
Well, I guess one of the things we've seen is we have seen a lot of people turning in their Pear Deck and Cami homework. So
Excellent.
if you're having any issues with those, go ahead and drop a question in the comments. So we feel like that's probably going pretty smoothly. We've seen a lot of people sharing those. One thing I would even suggest is if you can click on this Pear Deck homework, I've just gone through and I click on them every day to kind of check out what you guys have created, and we've had a lot of really good creation of Pear Deck examples. So if you want to look through those, that's just a good resource for you to do, to be thinking about how you can use those when curriculum writing comes. A second thing on, if you're showing this to any colleagues or other people within the district, they do have access to these tools as well. So you're welcome to share that with them. But the place we want them to get content about these programs is not from this curriculum writing page. On our standard technology resource page, we do have resources that you might even benefit from for Cami and Pear Deck. So on the Cami resources page, we even have a getting started with Cami process, where really walks them through sort of what we walked you through as curriculum writers. What is Cami? Setting up the video, setting up your Cami account. Okay.
And we're coming to you today from the newly renovated Bloomingdale Elementary. So we're not downtown, so you'll probably hear a couple beeps and beeping in, or Mrs. Zuber. We're using Mrs. Zuber's classroom today. If she needs to bug us for something, she'll interrupt the live stream. Shannon, one of the things that I see a lot is how do I get to that Pear Deck presentation mode? It's kind of a little bit confusing because there's two different places to do that. And I always tell people you got to click on that add-ons button up at the top. Do you want to show them that part?
Sure. I'm going to go to our curriculum writing folder and open up a Pear Deck that we have created. So I'm going to click on this Pear Deck sample for you. And you're right, Steve, one of the things that we're used to doing, whether you create a PowerPoint or create a Google Slides, is just clicking present and you're ready to go. It's a little bit different with Pear Deck, because in order for it to present with those interactive components that you create, you actually have to open that add-on. So if you go to this add-ons at the top, Pear Deck should be one that you already have on there. If you haven't, you can just click get add-ons and search for Pear Deck. But you have to open the Pear Deck add-on to get that interactive experience. So from here, once my Pear Deck has been created, this is where I'm going to present the lesson from. So now when I click present lesson, it opens me up, and again I have to authenticate. It opens up to a secondary website, the Pear Deck host website, that's going to allow for those interactive features and teacher controls to take part of. So you don't have to log in and take this Pear Deck today, but that's how you get it to be presented. There is another way you can kind of get there. If you have not gone to peardeck.com, this is another place with some great resources for Pear Deck. So if you go to peardeck.com, you'll want to log in as a teacher. And when you log in as a teacher, you'll see that we have the premium accounts as FWCS users. So if you want to use your FWCS email, and you get this little crown, but this also saves everything. It kind of takes away all that other stuff in your drive and only leaves your Pear Decks. So it saves all the things that I've done in Pear Deck in here.
So
through
you're
my
not
drive.
saving it in the Google Drive, this Google storage locker, but you're actually saving it also in the Pear Deck community.
Right, so Pear Deck saves it for you in a secondary location. It is connecting to my Google Drive, you can see here, but it's really just saving the Pear Deck sources. But
And I know Rick Herber, one of our district technology coordinators for the Northrop family, had a question yesterday from some users on, are there other presentations that you can get from Pear Deck and not just have to create your own? And this is kind of that area you could go to see others that are shared.
right, so if you're in this, if you click on the help at the top, first of all, there's a ton of information on getting set up and things that if you think us as coordinators haven't created something, Pear Deck itself probably has a resource for you, so you can search here. But one of the things that they have in here is the Orchard. So if I put in Pear Deck Orchard, it gives me example decks. So if I click on this example decks, I can get to some example presentations that other teachers have created, and they are constantly updating this, and from what they've told us over the summer, this is going to expand. They're kind of in that beta test version right now. So when you click on elementary school, there are some that you might want to, if not use, you might want to get some ideas from of how
Excellent.
they've used it. They also have middle and high too. So chemical equations, which I'm not an expert in, somebody else is, they can show you how they did it.
I think that's Matt's expertise.
Oh yes.
Matt's our district technology coordinator for the Snyder family, so he's all about the chemicals. All right, so let's, until we get a couple more questions coming in here, let's jump over to Cami now. That's the first resource that we presented at Snyder High School for our curriculum writing. And I'm super excited about this one. We've spent the last year training teachers on how to use the LMS, that's the Learning Management System, with Power School. And one of a lot of the feedback we get from teachers, for math teachers, is it's really hard to digitize documents and stuff. And I really feel like this resource is going to help us with that.
Yep. Okay, so when you're looking at your screen,
And how do we get here? Is it
can you see it, or are they saying that? No. Okay. Okay. When they get here, you go to camiapp.com. So it's really simple to get to, and then when you click get here, all you have to do is sign in.
Oh, easy.
Because they already have accounts. So that's again why we are adding that Google Tools. Now it's recognizing that I'm already in my Google Drive, but if you're not, you can just click in sign in with Google. And that's a little bit of a mind shift just for our district, is that we're going to start seeing a lot of things that say sign in with Google that we can now sign in with. Like your Power School will soon be changing to a Google sign in, as well as Cami.
And the only reason we're doing that is a lot of these third-party tools that are web-based connect with the Google environment really well. So we're not saying you still can't use Office 365. We actually still want you to use it. We're going to offer that as a tool. So if your students are familiar with Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or Excel, go ahead and use those. But some of these web-based tools just integrate with the Google environment a little better.
Yep. A couple of things too to point out is this, just how Cami works. Cami is not storing all of our files like Pear Deck was, or Google Drive. It's really just storing the annotations you make on a file. So all of my recent files down here, when I click on it, it remembers the location that I had it, and then it assigns those annotations that I made back to that location. So one thing that we have had some teachers who have said, hey, I want to try Cami out. I'm a curriculum writer. I just want to try it with my kids this year before school's out, which is fine. But a couple of things, I'm going to erase that line. I don't know what's there. A couple of things you might want to keep in.
You were drawing outside the box, right?
That's
That's
right.
what you were doing.
When you're sharing something on Power School, so if you have this Cami document, you want kids to annotate, there is this little share document up at the top. And right now, if you're not making a collaborative tool, and this is something you'll want to know if you're that tech person on curriculum writing, the one we want to really talk about is anyone with the link will get their own copy uploaded to their Google Drive. That's the one you're probably going to use the most, because we really want every person to have a personal copy. Otherwise, annotations get a little bit crazy. So
that's why you create it. You're giving anyone the copy. They can take it and make it their own and do whatever they want with it.
Right.
Perfect.
So the first teacher we had who just kind of was exploring on their own thought it was a little cumbersome to have a document on the LMS, the kids download it, open it in their Cami. But really, by using this link, kids don't have to download anything. All you would do is take this link, copy it, and then you can just quickly post it on your LMS page. So if you just go back over to your LMS and add a contact box, you could tell kids what to do with it by throwing in some directions here. And then if I paste that link in, when kids click on it, it would open it up in their very own personal Google Drive. Now, right now, the way our PowerSchool set up, it's not really super easy for them to just hand it back through PowerSchool itself, but that's coming. So just know after the summer, there will be some easier ways for them to turn it back into you. But for right now, you can focus on, if I want to share a link for kids to annotate, use that second option. Okay.
All right, so now, Shannon, that we're into this, let's go ahead and just quickly go over that left column, because in the CAMI, that left column is where all the tools are at.
Right.
So if I want to highlight something, I'm big on podcasting, so if you want to add audio files, things like that,
Yep.
show us how that's done.
Okay. Sure. These first three tools, I would say, I really like your annotation tools. So if you want kids to be find the figurative language in a reading passage, they'll probably use these highlights to highlight that information, or underline or strike through extra sentences. So really, I would say those are the most basic tools that it has. We're all familiar with how to use those kind of annotation tools and things we would normally do. It's kind of that substitution level for just using your piece of paper. What Steve is talking about is one of the really cool features of CAMI that we are excited about is this comment button. And you could think of it as just, if you're reading a paper that a student has written and you want to leave a comment, you can just leave a regular old text box comment and type something in, okay? So I've got their comments going over here. But students, you can kind of think of these outside of the traditional comment as well. So this audio file, and it's not going super quick here for some reason, but if I wanted to leave a voice comment, what this is going to do is it's going to open up that a voice box. If I click here, maybe I can, oh, there we go. It's just going to record what I'm saying. So for our student level users, what they could do is, if they were doing a podcast, they could almost have their script written out here. They could use this audio record button, and then see how it's recording my voice over on the side. When they're done, they can stop it, and then they have this file that they can share with you that's them reading their podcast. And you don't really have to get any of that expensive equipment or download a secondary tool to use. You could do that all within CAMI. This is also great for those learners who maybe can't read or do something. You could read the directions and put them in here, so when kids come in, they could just play the instructions, or they could play your feedback. So thinking outside that traditional box of how we're going to give kids information. You can also leave video comments. So if kids were doing a public service announcement or something like that, they could record themselves, or you can record your own video comment to kids. This would be great for, if, again, students who are more audio visual learners. It's easy to go home at night and, hey, I like your reading passage. You did a great job identifying those words, blah, blah, blah. Throw it up there. Then kids kind of have even more personal connection to what your response to their document is. And you've virtually given feedback when in a classroom you can't get to everybody.
Shannon, I have to ask, where was this program, this application, when I was in school? Because that would have been perfect. I wouldn't have had to type anything out. I could have just listened to everything.
They didn't have it 100 years ago, Steve.
I know. It was way too long ago.
Yeah,
this is actually from, is it New Zealand?
Yep.
That this is from? So as you guys were setting this up, it was kind of a time change difference for them to do it, but it's an amazing tool. I think we'll see some exciting things from teachers using this in the classroom.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the, just real quick, some of these other tools, you can just type in there with the text box. So if you want kids to actually type a response, they can do that. But for our math users, we're excited that this has these math symbols available. So last year it was a bit of a challenge with some of those Agile Mind documents or other math documents that you had that you just couldn't annotate with the symbols that you needed to give a correct response. So now we have an option for how to insert those symbols, just making it more seamless for kids and giving them that real world experience of, hey, I can give a response without doing something funky. Okay. Same with drawing and shapes. Those things I think are kind of self-explanatory. couple things that I thought were kind of cool and kind of think outside the box too is for teacher level of building relationships with kids is that people are using this insert image to save some things like Bitmojis of themselves. So when they are grading a kid's work and they want to say like they find a Bitmoji that says good job, you can just stick it on that kid's Cami assignment, and when they come back they see that you've been there by putting that Bitmoji up and just kind of keeping current on what kids like and trying to relate to them a little bit. So using
Do they
that
have
as well.
Bitmojis with beards on them?
We'll have to work on that.
Okay.
Maybe
All
not
right.
quite that long.
You could always use your drawing tool over in the right to maybe draw over that Bitmoji a little
Yeah.
bit. So let's pause real quick.
Okay.
We'll let
Mr.
them
Rodney, we
probably have
the
school buses
science
coming
kit
in.
Up at room 203 that needs brought down, please. Thank you.
All right, so I'm looking at the questions. Doesn't appear that we have many other questions. We're going to wrap up here in about 2 minutes probably, Shannon. Let's go over just real quick that Google Drive component first. How do we get there? That's kind of the beginning place where all this stuff comes together, and then we'll wrap things up.
Okay. So again, that Google Drive, if you are, the easiest way we've told people is just to go to google.com to get started. So in your browser bar, put google.com, and then from your Drive, if you haven't set up your account yet, this is where you'll add that account. You'll click Add Account, or it will say Sign In if you don't have other Google accounts. You'll use your FWCS email and password, and it will ask you to sign into our organization, and it will give you a couple questions possibly about if you're part of an organization, please say yes, you're part of ours. And that will get you into that account. If remember, just again, it might look like you're not signed in the first time you're at Google. It might say, even after you've signed in, it still says sign in. So click on this waffle, and then by clicking on your Drive, that's really how you're going to get to the meat of what your storage is anyway, because we don't have Gmail. So really this is the place you want to land on. So you just switch back, if you're in a different one, to your FWCS account, always checking for that FWCS logo.
Perfect. All
Can you
right.
Plug Ignite real quick.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay.
So we have some great news. If you haven't heard already, you've probably seen the posters throughout your building. But we have a technology conference this summer, and Shannon's going to be pulling that up on her computer, but it's called Ignite. And it is a conference that we're bringing in a bunch of presenters from outside the district, as well as some of our very own presenters, tech coordinators and curriculum people that are going to present on a magnitude of different topics this summer, and we're excited to kind of kick that off. That is on July 16th. We have keynote speaker Barrington Irving, and Shannon's on our Ignite page right here, and you can get to that by so that's bit.ly/FWCS Ignite. So you go to bit.ly/FWCS Ignite, and that'll take you to our sign up page where you can register for a session. We have, like I said a second ago, Captain Barrington Irving. He's the first black man and the youngest person to fly solo around the world. So it's pretty cool. We met him at a conference a couple years ago. An amazing speaker. He's going to be our keynote speaker. We're excited to have him in. Go ahead and log into this page or connect with your district technology coordinator, and they'll get you the link to it. Since we don't have that up here if you can't read it in the fine print. But you can sign up for, we have Excel if you want to learn how to do Excel. Hey, I'm new to this LMS. I didn't do it last year. How do I get started with it next school year? We have sessions on the LMS. We have sessions on, what are some others?
We've got podcasting. We've got just ways to get kids off what you would consider just getting on to do an app, ways to get creative with technology to use that more. We want students to create rather than just consume. When we talk about screen time, this is a great way to think of some other ways that you can use technology resources with your class. So there's really, I got an email the other day just that somebody was concerned that maybe there was only for math teachers, because we do have Dreambox and Agile Minds coming in, but those are just be 2 out of the 20 sessions offered at each breakout. So don't feel like if you're not a math person, there is something for you at every level of every content area. And we know it's hard for teachers to spend their own money to go to a conference like this, so we're really excited that we can offer it to you for the summer for a free opportunity to get one of these conferences and that you don't normally get to attend.
And we have some amazing speakers coming in and presenters, so I'm looking forward to it. That's July 16th. So tell everybody around you, if you haven't heard of Ignite, tell them that's something they need to be at.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Well, this wraps it up for our second edition of FWCS Tech Talk Live. I'm Steve Armstrong, and this is Shannon Quigley. We're going to use these tools. We got a bunch of different ways we're going to better connect with you this next school year. So stay tuned in. We're excited to connect with you. Have a great day.
Thank you.